And for most people, Christmas music puts them in the holiday spirit. But a crabby customer leaving this note at a Florida restaurant annoyed over the Christmas music. You cannot make this up. This was the quote: "Christmas music was offensive. Consider playing holiday music or less religious themed."
Or consider a different restaurant.
I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the owner is so outraged over it, he even decided to post it on Facebook.
It's a tradition. It's not about a religion. It's not about anything else. You know, I am a Christian, but I don't push that as my agenda. I don't know if it's a trend in society or what, but to us it's just scary.
Well, he says he did not take to social media to complain, but to protect his staff. Well, good for him for doing that.
Overseas now, the grim aftermath of a terror attack in Istanbul, Turkey. Two powerful bombs. A security camera, you see it there, capturing one of those blasts, detonated outside a soccer stadium that was targeting the police. And tonight, a new terror attack targeting women and children at the main Christian cathedral in Cairo.
Tonight, the death toll in the Turkish terror attacks climbing to 38. 30 of them police officers, targeted in near-simultaneous blasts at a soccer stadium. Militants linked to the Kurdish rebel group, the PKK, claiming responsibility. The government vowing revenge tonight, stepping up the fight against the recent wave of terror attacks in Turkey. Terror that is spreading. In Egypt, an attack on Cairo's largest Christian church. Eyewitnesses say a woman planted more than 26 pounds of explosives hidden in a bag, shattering what was a solemn Sunday service. At least 24 killed, most were women and children. The columns were smoldering, people strewn on the floor and on the walls, this man says. Everything was broken. Outside, the outrage and anger erupting, protests against terrorism, demanding national unity. Egypt's President Sisi is declaring 3 days of mourning, saying a religious war is being waged, vowing to hunt down the attackers.
A car bomb exploded in the Somalian capital of Mogadishu, killing at least 20 people, while 15 have sustained injuries. Somali police officer Major Ahmed Ibrahim told CNN that around 7:30 a.m. local time, an attacker rammed a vehicle filled with explosives into the main entrance of a port in Mogadishu, the nation's largest city. The attacker had targeted police officers in the port's Customs and Tax Office, Ibrahim said. However, most of the victims ended up being port employees and pedestrians.
Africa is suffering from a crisis of internally displaced people. A new report from the Internal Displacement Monitoring Center found that 12.4 million Africans are living in a state of ongoing displacement because of conflict and violence. That's 30% of all people worldwide internally displaced by conflict. In 2015 alone, about 2.4 million Africans were internally displaced by conflict. And while violence has long been a root cause of displacement, the report also found a rising cause for concern. Last year, 1.1 million Africans were forced from their homes by rapid onset disasters, mainly flooding. The report warns climate change is only going to make those disasters worse. Droughts and higher temperatures are expected to become more common, and that could lead to a feedback loop. As farmers get displaced by drought, food insecurity could lead to further displacements. In 2009, 40 African countries signed an agreement to help internally displaced people, but a lack of data has made helping difficult. But this report is the first of its kind for Africa, and researchers hope it can help fill in some of those gaps in data.
Breaky, fakey news. Red alert, the fakes are everywhere.
The fake news that thrived during the campaign.
That's fake. False news stories.
So-called fake news, disinformation. All the lies, fake news stories filling your news feed.
The Russians were promulgating fake news.
Spread of fake news online.
Oh, and this fake, just in, the latest disturbing fake story in a row of fakes.
Russians starting their own efforts to win hearts and minds.
The Russians are showing that they're taking much of the initiative in the battle for Aleppo, not just supporting the forces of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, but also by providing aid, like this massive convoy that's about to head into the eastern districts of Aleppo.
Humanitarian aid in Aleppo can't be. Thankfully, this fake was spotted by some senior people in authority.
The people of Aleppo have not received an aid delivery since July.
Great job, Ms. Trudeau. And remember, always trust US officials and never your own eyes.
Donald Trump's cabinet, Exxon CEO Rex Tillerson emerging as the likely pick for that all-important Secretary of State post. But tonight, critics calling into question his ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. This as there are new intelligence claims that Russia interfered with the presidential election here. And those claims have Donald Trump lashing out at the CIA.
Tonight, a first in modern political history. Trump's likely pick to be the nation's top diplomat, ExxonMobil CEO Rex Tillerson, a successful executive with no government experience. His business ties with Russia are already raising concerns. That's Tillerson in this 2013 Russian government video shaking hands with President Putin as he receives an award, the Order of Friendship. Today, Trump making an appearance at the Army-Navy game and praising Tillerson's connections.
To me, a great advantage is he knows many of the players, and he knows them well. He does massive deals in Russia. He does massive deals for the company, not for himself, for the company.
The pick comes as Trump's team is fighting back against a Washington Post report that Russia interfered in the U.S. presidential election to help Trump win.
What proof does anyone have that they affected the outcome? Because I've heard zero.
Tonight, a top intelligence official tells ABC that both Democrats and Republicans were targeted, but that only material hacked from the DNC was made public. Tonight, Russia's motives remain unclear. During the campaign, Trump repeatedly shrugged off Russia's involvement, even seeming to invite them into the political process.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing. I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
Even after 17 U.S. intelligence agencies concluded Russia was behind the hacking, Trump told Time magazine this week he still doesn't believe Russia interfered. Now Trump's team is questioning the credibility of the CIA, in a statement saying these are the same people that said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
Trump's transition team reportedly issued a questionnaire to the U.S. Department of Energy, and it has some people worried. The 74-question document asks for a list of the top 20 salaried employees of the national labs and staff members who have been involved in international and domestic climate talks. Trump and his administration have promised to undo some of the Obama administration's climate change efforts. Because of that, Energy Department employees, various lawmakers, and environmental groups speculate the questionnaire could be targeting those who helped implement policies during the Obama administration. And their concerns might not be unfounded. Trump hasn't exactly been an advocate for fighting rising temperatures. In late November, GOP Chairman Reince Priebus said the candidate still thought climate change is mostly a bunch of bunk.
DiCaprio, aside from being an actor, he writes, is also a major proponent of global warming. You know, all these global warming advocates are freaking out right now. They think they're going to be burned alive by the sun, so they're all flocking to Trump Tower to try to convince Donald Trump to jump on their climate agenda. We just reported Al Gore was there, begging Donald Trump to believe him. Climate change, I think, is a fraud. I think it's a hoax. It's designed to control and manipulate the people, to be subservient to governments who need to have control over the people. Man-made, I should be very clear, I believe it when they point out man-made climate change. man-made. When they point to man being the reason as the for the climate change, that's where we have a problem. Now, I'm not going to say there are massive fluxes in global climate temperatures over thousands and thousands of years, cyclical climate changes. I'm not going to dispute those scientific realities, but I am going to dispute the man-made global warming, man being blamed for it. I think that's a total fraud.
Meanwhile, South Korea has warned North Korea that there will be fatal consequences for its leaders if provoked into conflict. The warning issued by the South Korean military on Sunday came after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un oversaw a military drill simulating an attack on South Korea's presidential office. One of the North's main newspapers carried a 2-page report on the drill showing pictures of a building resembling the Blue House being overrun by North Korean soldiers and set on fire. One photo also showed Kim laughing as he watched the simulation. No date was given for the drill. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that if North Korea conducts a provocation based on its rash judgments, Seoul will strongly and firmly retaliate. There are concerns North Korea could launch a provocation following the National Assembly's impeachment vote on President Park that has left South Korea without a recognized leader.
Japan's self-defense forces will be allowed to use weapons during peacekeeping operations from today. Under new national security laws, which came into effect in March, Japanese peacekeeping forces in South Sudan will be allowed to defend and rescue UN officials and other members of the mission if they come under attack. Under such circumstances, they'll be permitted to use weapons not only for self-defense but also to repress to push back the enemy. There are currently some 350 Japanese peacekeeping troops in South Sudan.
Mirage jets screech across the summer sky. Israel's surprise attack destroyed hundreds of Egyptian planes in hours. Their air superiority shortened the 1967 war to just 6 days. The new sound of air domination in the 21st century, say Israeli generals. The F-35 stealth fighter will be the most advanced plane in the region. Israel ordered 50, the initial 2 arriving Monday, making Israel the first country outside of the United States to receive Lockheed Martin's fighter. The price tag? More than $100 million. Lieutenant Colonel Yotam will lead the squadron. His identity concealed for security, we're told.
The F-35's stealth capabilities widen our operational theatre. It allows us to bring into action many abilities that are needed from the Air Force for superiority.
As it looks around its neighborhood, Israel perceives many threats. The Syria conflict is on its doorstep. Hezbollah in Lebanon, rearming since the last war with Israel in 2006. Russia's S-300 and more advanced S-400 surface-to-air missile systems, introduced into Syria last year to support President Assad's military efforts. The advantage of the F-35, Israel hopes, is that it can fly virtually undetected.
The F-35 is built to deal with a lot of threats on the ground. It knows how to deal in the best possible way with everything that lies in the region of interest of the IDF outside the borders of Israel.
But the plane has faced growing pains, including problems with software, the engines, and weapons. Retired Air Force Brigadier General Ephraim Segoli has seen this before.
When you develop a new technology, you suffer from problems and you fix it.
But Segoli insists this plane is a game changer.
The idea that you are the first state, the first Air Force in the area that gets it, it adds a lot to your reputation.
A reputation that Israel hopes will make any rival think twice.
Well, one of the most populated cities in India is about to get hit by a cyclone. Varda is packing winds of 100 kilometers per hour, and the storm is going to make landfall soon. Officials have a stern warning for people along the coast to stay away from the water. Let's get to Tom Sater, who's been tracking the storm with more. Hi there, Tom.
Hi, Amber. Well, this is the strongest tropical cyclone in the Bay of Bengal this entire year. The first one to reach hurricane strength. So there's a risk here of loss of life and property. Now, you can see 33 Mumbai skies, sunshine in the north. But Chennai rainfall, it's coming down heavy. In fact, early morning hours now, it's been raining for some time, but this is moving into a very vulnerable area, very highly populated region of Chennai. Public holidays declared. Schools are closed. Employers are told if you can't have your employees work from home. It's too unsafe.
This robot dog could be the next thing delivering your packages. Google's Boston Dynamics appears to be spitballing real-world uses for its dog, Spot Mini. The company's CEO reportedly floated the idea of using the robotic hound to make deliveries. Spot Mini isn't the first of its kind. The company unveiled its first Spot last year, and since then, the pup has made leaps and bounds as far as what it can do. Companies like Amazon already have the ability to use drones for deliveries, so who's to say robot dogs can't join the fleet? In some cases, they might actually be better. Spot Mini's robotic neck and mouth could knock on doors, ring a bell, or put a package in a specific place. But before your robots are taking over the world, panic sets in. The hound still needs human help to perform a lot of its tricks.
You wouldn't know what to do once you're in the situation.
A 15-month-old stops breathing at a tax collector's office in Tampa.
Your body gets numb, you blink out, your mind is going different ways.
A deputy jumps into action, saving the baby's life.
The overwhelming responsibility of this job is never understood until you have a baby like Corey in your arms and he's not breathing.
Tonight, that deputy is being honored.
As a mother, I cannot even begin to imagine. It is terrifying. All of a sudden, your baby stops breathing and you have no idea what to do. You can only hope that the man who you see right here is there when it happens and steps in and helps. Last month, 15-month-old Corey wasn't moving, he wasn't breathing. You see the video. His mom rushes into the Hillsborough County Tax Collector's office on Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa.
All thanks to Deputy Donaldson, who renewed his certification in infant CPR just 3 weeks earlier and just happened to be filling in for another officer that day.
I tell you, I think he's gained a few pounds since I saw him last time. He's adorable. When I had Corey in my arms, I said a little prayer and I said, God, give me strength to save this baby.
He had a fever, which was an ear infection that caused his fever to go to 102. I was scared and panicking. It's really no feeling I can't explain how I felt because I don't know how I felt at the moment. So I just ran and got help, and good thing he was on duty to be able to help me.
Ironically, 3 weeks earlier, I just got recertified in infant CPR. And I give a lot of credit to our training department because our trainer said, don't forget, this might be a baby you're saving one day. It's a doll today, but in a week or two, tomorrow, it might be a baby. It was probably maybe 15 seconds, 20 seconds into the actual compressions that I started to see a response.
Really, I'll just say thank you because I really didn't know that he had the training. So thank you. And he's saying thank you as well.
Oh my gosh. It is amazing. That. Thank you, Deputy Donaldson. It is so awesome to see what our men and women in uniform do.
And timing. I mean, he just got recertified in that. I mean, all in God's time. You right places, right time.